Here's your host, Mike Crispino.
All right, let's do it. Let's do it. Welcome live, the Duncan Music Lounge. Great crowd on hand this Tuesday night. As the season gets underway, I'm Mike Crispino. This is Jim Mora to my right. We will be talking on Tuesdays about what happened over the weekend and what's ahead for the Huskies in football. So we hope you'll be joining us on the 97.9 of the Uconn Sports Network. But nothing better than a live audience. You get to meet some of the folks that come to our games. We get to meet the coach and hear what he has to say. Not for public consumption, for the press. Like sometimes you have to act a certain way in front of the press. But when you're here, I noticed that you're able to say things, and you say things that we don't hear as a member of the press staff. Is that fair to say?
Yes. It is fair to say.
And that is a good thing, I think.
I don't know. It can be. It can also be not so good for me if I say the wrong thing.
No, you don't say the wrong thing.
No,
Listen.
I don't know about that.
Well, once in a while. That's all right. 9-4 last year. Let's go back to that first before we move forward. Fenway Bowl. One of the great moments, in Uconn football history in my mind. Weird, crazy weather day and playing in a baseball stadium against North Carolina, an ACC team. We haven't beaten enough of them yet. We'll get to that. But that day, I felt, and the way the Uconn fans showed up there and got behind this program was tremendous. I think that's a step in the right direction.
It certainly was amazing, and I believe it's a step in the right direction. Hopefully we can carry on with that energy and that success, but it was a special day, and been able to play in a lot of big games in my career, participate in a lot of big games, and that was one that I'll never forget. Just being in Fenway, historic Fenway. I've always been, you can boo me if you want, but I've always been a Red Sox fan. Hey, all right, there we go. The Green Monsters behind us. We're playing Carolina, Belichick's new team. And we got after him pretty good, but I think the thing that'll stick with me most was just the energy in the stands. And it was a Uconn crowd. I mean, it was overwhelmingly a Uconn crowd, and they were excited to watch their team play. And I felt that at moments since I've been here, but we hadn't, we have to earn that, I believe. I've said that for years, and I felt like at that moment it all kind of came together with our team and our fans. And it was unique, and it was fun, and it was exciting, and we were pulling off the energy of the people that were in the stadium, and we were able to beat a good team, and yeah, it was really a fun day, one I'll remember forever.
Head coach Jim Mora is with us. I'm Mike Crispino, the play-by-play voice of the Huskies. Another element of that day that I think you appreciate, and I think the University of Connecticut football people appreciate, is there were several guys on the field that day that had been in the dumps prior, right, and saw this thing building and saw you come to a culmination with that squad last December, and win a game. And you could see it, the Delani staffers and guys like that who'd been around and struggled and tried to fight their way up the mountain. You got them there, and boy, they loved it getting up there, didn't they?
Well, they got themselves there, They just, you talk about Jelani, but, you think about Dalmont and Chase, and, the list goes on and on. These guys that have just persevered, and they were 1-11 a few years ago, and they hung in there, and they kept believing, and they kept working, and they never lost the faith or the vision. And so to see some reward for that was pretty darn special. Those are the things as a coach that you really value, is when the players that you're able to coach, you watch them, fulfill their dreams, and their achievements, and it's pretty unique, and it was a great day for that.
Yeah, football to me is the sport that's the toughest because there's so much physical pain you got to go through to be successful. Yep. And it's a 12-month commitment. And to see some of those guys who's, suffered really trying to win football games come to that point in Fenway and play like that and then celebrate it with UConn's football fans, it doesn't get much better.
No, football is different than basketball, baseball, hockey, some of those other sports. We get 12 shots. We don't get in the 30s. So every game takes on so much importance. And, those guys have been through a lot, and just to see them, go out the way they did. And like you said, just that connection with the fans in their last game. And I feel like they really felt that they had accomplished something. They got their rings actually this week or last week, and I wish I had been able to see some of their faces when that ring showed up in the mail for them, because it was it was a special day. And I have so much respect for those young men and just the way that they hung in there and they persevered. They had resilience. And I
was on the sideline today at practice with Ronte Jones, who was part of that team, obviously. He asked me if I got my ring. And I'm like, ring? What ring?
It's in my desk. It's in my desk. I'll get it for you next Tuesday.
Thank you very much. That's a special moment. I got to say, you win a bowl game coming from where Uconn was just 4 years ago. It's an amazing, amazing climb. We're going to talk about what happens from here. That's next when we continue on the Uconn Football Coaches Show with Jim Mora.